Lebanon. Reports say blasts were reported in Beirut and in southern Lebanon. Civilians fled as explosions hit the country. Lebanon's Prime Minister condemned the Israeli aggression and promised to protect civilians. Hezbollah fired drones and rockets towards Israel, saying it was in response to killing of Khamenei. This was Hezbollah's first claimed attack since the November 2024 ceasefire. So more countries are being dragged in. New fronts in the battlefield are opening. Then came Tehran. Today, the Israeli military struck the Iranian capital. The Israeli military announced large-scale strikes on the Iranian capital. The targets hit were military facilities, regime-linked command centers, intelligence and internal security hubs. The U.S. military also announced a major blow. It said it had destroyed the headquarters of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. U.S. Central Command declared that the IRGC no longer has a headquarters in Washington. President Donald Trump escalated the rhetoric. He vowed to avenge the deaths of 3 U.S. soldiers killed during operations.
Earlier today, CENTCOM shared the news that 3 U.S. military service members have been killed in action. As one nation, we grieve for the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation, even as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives. We pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is. Likely be more, but we'll do everything possible where that won't be the case. But America will avenge their deaths and deliver the most punishing blow to the terrorists who have waged war against basically civilization.
He warns that more casualties were likely. He called on Iranians to rise up, saying America is with you. He also warned Iran's Revolutionary Guards to surrender or face certain death. Trump said he envisaged a 4-week military operation. Top U.S. officials are also set to brief the Congress, making the case for the campaign against Iran. Several Arab allies have condemned Iran for launching strikes on Gulf states hosting U.S. troops. In a joint statement, they called the targeting of civilians and non-combatant countries reckless and destabilizing. The Gulf Cooperation Council members also met via video link. They vowed to defend themselves and respond if necessary. In Jerusalem, 7 people were injured after another missile barrage from Iran. Emergency services rushed to the scene. Beyond the battlefield, global concerns also mounted. Shipping giant Maersk has suspended transit through the Strait of Hormuz and the Suez Canal for safety reasons. The move followed Iran's Revolutionary Guards declaring the strait closed. The European Union warned of the heavy cost of prolonged war. The EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas cautioned that a drawn-out conflict could threaten not just West, but Europe and beyond. The EU is reinforcing its naval mission in the Red Sea with additional vessels. The United Kingdom stepped in as well. Prime Minister Keir Starmer said he allowed the US to use the UK bases for defensive strikes targeting Iranian missiles.
The United States has requested permission to use British bases for that specific and limited defensive purpose. We have taken the decision to accept this request to prevent Iran firing missiles across the region, killing innocent civilians, putting British lives at risk, and hitting countries that have not been involved. The basis of our decision is the collective self-defence of long-standing friends and allies and protecting British lives. That is in accordance with international law, and we are publishing a summary of our legal advice. We are not joining these strikes, but we will continue with our defensive actions in the region. And we will also bring experts from Ukraine together with our own experts to help Gulf partners shoot down Iranian drones attacking them.
But he stressed Britain was not involved in the initial offensive and would not join offensive action. A supreme leader killed, missiles over Jerusalem, Beirut under fire. So what began as targeted strikes has now become a multi-front confrontation. And now, to get us more perspective on this, we are being joined by Ross Harrison, who is a senior fellow at the Middle East Institute in Washington, joining us live from DC. Ross, how is Iran's foreign policy evolving amid the spreading regional war with the US and Israel? What do you think are the implications of the post-Khamenei era?
Well, I think Iran's foreign policy can be defined or characterized as a fight for survival at this point. I mean, they were attacked by Israel and the United States. Their leadership, the top tier of their leadership, was basically decimated with the death of Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader. And so what they're trying to do is trying to inflict as much pain on the United States and Israel in particular in order to raise the cost and possibly bring some kind of end to the conflict. I think it's also to demonstrate that the regime is still intact, something that they have to worry about. So in terms of its regional implications, as you have said, I mean, Hezbollah is now involved in the mix. Iran has lobbed missiles at our allies in the region, countries that they had a reasonably, not a warm relationship, but a functional relationship with over the last number of years, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, and even Oman. So they're trying to basically send a message to the region that the cost of this conflict, if it continues in a protracted way, is going to be great, not just for Iran, not just for Israel, the United States, but also for the entire region.
Speaking alongside the cost of the conflict, as Israel and Hezbollah trade fire amid US strikes on Iran, how does President Trump plan to avenge US troop deaths? Is there more to come?
Well, I think right now the operation is continuing. I mean, so it's hard to distinguish retaliation or seeking revenge for the deaths of the American servicemen. It's hard to distinguish revenge from just their normal operations. So it's not clear to me. I mean, I think President Trump said even before the deaths were announced that there were going to be some casualties. So I think this is unfortunately, it's a normal course of any conflict. Is both sides are going to lose innocent men and women. In this case, these were soldiers, to my knowledge. But I think we also have to acknowledge that there have been deaths on the Iranian side in even greater numbers. So I don't know how we can distinguish revenge from just the normal operations that are designed to try to bring down this regime. So it's a hard question to answer.
President Trump has also said that he's open to talks with Iran. What do you think will be the result of it if talks do happen?
Well, it depends on the problem that the Iranians have, aside from the fact that they're being asked to negotiate or have conversations in the middle of war, is what the goal of the United States is. Remember, they were talking, the Iranians were talking to the United States, both in the lead up to the June 2025 war and in the lead up to this war. So I think the question becomes, are the talks essentially going to require the Iranians to capitulate and surrender? If that's the case, I don't see that necessarily happening. If there is enough momentum for some kind of off-ramp for the United States. By the way, the off-ramp for the United States is probably going to be a different off-ramp than it is for Israel. But if there is a desire for an off-ramp, and there is a new leadership emerging under the tutelage or leadership of Ali Larijani, the head of the Supreme National Security Council, and President Pezeshkian, if there is a sort of a rethink of what Iran's red lines are, and they come to the table with some kind of an agreement on the nuclear issues, that's a possibility. But I think in Tehran, I think there is tremendous distrust of this administration in Washington. And so I think my general sense is, and listen, I could be wrong 5 minutes from now because events are moving so rapidly on the ground. But my sense is this is not the time for any kind of negotiation. I think the Iranians are busy at this point trying to consolidate, plan for a succession, and trying to put the most brave face they can on a regime that has been under siege.
Interesting point you make over there, Ross Harrison. Thank you for your sharing your insights with First Post.
Of course.
As war engulfs West Asia, India has stepped firmly into the diplomatic lane. Earlier today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the President of the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. The Indian Prime Minister positioned New Delhi as a voice for de-escalation as the conflict spirals across West Asia. In his call with Netanyahu, Prime Minister Modi conveyed India's deep concern over the rapidly worsening situation. While acknowledging Israel's security challenges, New Delhi drew a clear line. Civilian safety must remain paramount. India reiterated its call for an early cessation of hostilities. Now, this comes as the United States and Israel have expanded strikes deep inside Iran, targeting Revolutionary Guard infrastructure and Iran's retaliatory missile and drone campaign that now stretches across West Asia, including the UAE's Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And that's where Prime Minister Modi's second call becomes crucial. In his conversation with the UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, Prime Minister Modi strongly condemned the attacks on the Emirates and expressed condolences for the lives lost. The outreach wasn't just symbolic. Nearly 3.5 million Indians live and work in the UAE. This is among India's largest community anywhere in the world. It contributes about 20% of India's foreign remittances, 11% of India's oil imports, and absorbs $39 billion of Indian exports. The Indian embassy has confirmed that one Indian national was injured in the attacks. The embassy says the person is out of danger, and that it is in touch with hospital authorities rendering all possible assistance. Meanwhile, thousands of passengers, including Indians, remain stranded at Dubai International Airport. Among those stranded in Dubai is India's ace shuttler PV Sindhu, who said authorities in the UAE are taking care of those affected, even as flight operations remain disrupted. The Prime Minister also thanked the UAE leadership for taking care of the Indian community, a significant reassurance at a time when drone strikes have hit strategic sites and disrupted civilian life. India's messaging across both calls has been consistent: de-escalation, regional peace, security and stability. Prior to his outreach to Israel and the UAE, Prime Minister Modi chaired a late-night meeting of the Cabinet Committee on Security. This is India's highest decision-making body on national security and strategic affairs. The top-level meeting reviewed the rapidly evolving situation in West Asia, assessing its implications for India's security, energy supplies, and the safety of Indian nationals in the region. For India, the war is not distant. It threatens the safety of millions of Indian citizens in the Gulf. As missiles fly across West Asia, New Delhi is leaning on diplomacy, urging restraint, protecting its people, and walking a careful strategic tightrope. That's all for now. Thank you for joining us. I am Gushin Galan, and for more updates, stay tuned to First Post.
Power doesn't end quietly. Some deaths are not accidents. They are messages. A gunshot, a crowd, A country frozen. The killer disappears. The questions don't. This is not just about who died. It's about what followed. Governments fell. Armies moved. History rewrote itself. 5 leaders. 5 moments. One pattern. The assassination.